Brendis, Fundamentals of Oral Communication, Rochelle Beer. Some men excel so much at what they do that they are remembered for their many accomplishments. Albert Einstein is one of these men. Albert Einstein is one of the most important names in the field of physics, a genius, a Nobel Prize winner, and a very well-liked person. I have looked far and wide in order to understand Albert Einstein's life, some of his accomplishments, and some of his distinctions, so I believe I have the knowledge to correctly inform you on this topic. Today I will discuss Einstein's life, some of his scientific accomplishments, and some of his distinctions, along with his legacy. Up first will be his life. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in Württemberg, Germany, although he attended grade school in Munich. It's a pretty common misbelief that Einstein failed math in grade school. This isn't actually true. As History.com states, he excelled in math at high school, even mastering differentiable and integral calculus by the age of 15. His family later moved to Switzerland, where he attended the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in Zurich, training to become a teacher in physics and math. After he graduated, it took him about 9 years to get a job in academia because his teachers didn't give him good recommendation letters. This was because of his rebellious personality and the fact that he frequently skipped class to study on his own, according to History.com. Between his graduation and his becoming of a professor, Einstein worked as a technical assistant at the Swiss Patent Office. During this time, he worked on the theories that he grasped in school. This job, being far below his ability, was probably the best thing that could have possibly happened for him, because he finished his work quickly and had time to solidify his theories. He wrote 4 papers in 1905 that were published by one of the most acclaimed physics journals of the time, the 4th of which contained the famed equation E=mc², according to biography.com. Sometime after these papers were published, he received a slew of job offers to become a professor, and he bounced around until he took a position as the director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Physical Institute in 1914. He stayed there until 1933 when, for political reasons, he fled to America. Einstein, upon arriving in America, got a job at Princeton, and he lived near there for the remainder of his life. Einstein had 3 kids with his first wife, Maliva Merrick, who he met in Zurich until they eventually divorced and he got remarried. Along with being a family man, Einstein also spent a lot of time working on scientific problems. He had a very philosophical way of thinking, and he believed it made him a better physicist, and Dr. Don A. Howard agrees. As he mentions in his essay, Albert Einstein is a philosopher of science. He believed it allowed him to approach problems in a different angle. His greatest contributions to science were arguably his theories of relativity and his discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect. He wrote a paper on his theory of relativity in 1915, but it wasn't until a solar eclipse in 1919 that it was widely accepted. This was because an English astronomer, Arthur Eddington, took pictures of the eclipse, and upon reviewing said pictures, he realized that the sun's light deflected exactly as much as Einstein's theory predicted it would, thus proving it was correct. As for the photoelectric effect, it had been widely accepted that light acted just as a wave up until Einstein. There were certain cases in which, if light were a wave, the experiments would have yielded different results, so Einstein hypothesized that light acted as both a wave and a particle. Once this discovery had been proven, it shook physics and really all the scientific community to its core, because something they had widely accepted to be true was completely false. Of course, he made many other scientific contributions to science, such as the string theory and the quantum theory, and many more, but we don't have time for those. Einstein seemed to be a paradoxical genius because, while he was clearly very smart and intimidating, he was also very fun and approachable. He's not only respected around the world, but he's liked around the world. This is partly because he was so versatile in his life, contributing greatly to the world through science and humanitarianism, but also for standing up for what he believed in and being a general good person. It's also partly because he was very funny, and he is credited with many quotes that reflect this fact, such as these quotes from the book, The Ultimate Quotable Einstein. The difference between stupidity and genius is that genius has its limits, and any man who can drive safely while kissing a pretty girl is simply not giving the kiss the attention it deserves. Along with being liked, it's easy to see how much he was respected by the distinctions he received during his lifetime and after his death. According to the newspaper The Atlantic, Einstein won a Nobel Prize for his discovery for physics and for his discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect in 1921. He was also named Person of the Century by Time magazine in 1999, even beating out Mahatma Gandhi. There's an element, Einsteinium, named after him. Although he never took an IQ test, and even if he had, they aren't entirely accurate, his IQ is unknown. However, it's estimated that it was within the range of 160 to 190. The cutoff in IQ points to be considered a genius is 140 points, and that for extraordinarily genius is 160. This classifies him as an extraordinary genius, which is very, very rare. Today I've discussed Albert Einstein and some of the aspects of his life that make him one of the most recognized names in our world today. Einstein was a family man, a genius, a Nobel Prize winner, one of the most important names in science, and a likable person. Without Albert Einstein, our world and how we view it would be very different.